Hi everybody, welcome back. Hopefully you're joining us after the vlog. Now it is how we make this casserole. So we're going to use a can of biscuits because that's what I had. But if this big pan, I would normally use 2 cans of biscuits. Then we're going to use 2 dozen eggs because we have to get rid of them. Or you can do it half the size or a quarter of the size even. We're going to use some onion. This is about 1/4 of a medium onion, but that's according to taste. That's what we like. Then we're going to use a box and a half of breakfast sausage that I microwaved just for 1 minute. And we're going to use a bag of real bacon pieces because that's what we had in the refrigerator. We had to use it. Then you're going to salt to taste. Now I'll tell you, the sausage can take some salt, but the bacon is very salty. So be mindful of that when you're choosing which meat you want to use. Also, we opted to put a little garlic in it. We're going to use some fresh jarred garlic. That doesn't make sense. We're going to use some jarred garlic from Aldi's. I like mine in water, period. I'm just taste testing the milk to make sure it didn't go bad. One thing you may not know about me is milk is my favorite thing to drink. And when I first moved here, I was very particular about where I bought my milk from because milk just tasted sour to me around here. But I finally found milk that I loved at Kroger and then also at Aldi, which, yay. Now it's not so much noticeable, I think. I've been here long enough. So, here, baby. Thank you. When I cook with stuff that I'm trying to salvage from the refrigerator, if the refrigerator's gone out, I feel everything. These eggs are really cold still, which is great. But they won't stay that way for very long. So that's why we try to use what we can. We probably won't get the repairman out here for a while, so we have to go ahead and use everything. Would you mind, you want to help me?
What do you want me to do?
Just take the scissor and cut up these sausage into little pieces. I have microwaved a box and a half of, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. So almost 2 boxes of 16? Or are you just making fun of me? Oh, no. Almost 2 boxes of breakfast sausage links. We did move the rest to the other freezer. And now I'm going to crack away at these eggs.
Am I putting them directly in here, or am I just trying to leave them on a plate?
If you have to put them in there, you can, but just leave them to one side, because the other side we're going to do bacon. I was going to sprinkle them on top later so that they don't move around when I put the egg in. If that is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to know what you're doing.
So I've taken a 9x13 casserole. And you guys know normally I save my egg cartons, but for convenience purposes today, a big trick to keeping your refrigerator, your food good as often as possible is don't keep opening your refrigerator. Whether your electricity goes out or your refrigerator breaks, try not to keep opening your refrigerator. That's a good tip. Keep your food together. Lowest part of the refrigerator is always the coldest because hot air rises. You guys know that. I don't know why I just did that. That was weird.
Have it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just want to make sure you use whatever you can as soon as possible. So I said to Jim, I'll make a big casserole, much more than we can eat in one sitting, and I'll freeze portions in the big freezer once it cools off. I'll cut up portions and put them in Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer. Wherever I can fit them, because the freezer now is very cold, very full, I'm sorry, because of we took all the stuff from the refrigerator freezer and put it in the freezer. So I'm putting 2 dozen eggs. I have made the casseroles before with biscuits. Oh, I forgot to ask you to get the biscuits, never mind. Womp womp. I've made casseroles before with biscuits. We've done the French toast. We've done the same like quiche, except with eggs we use biscuits. Babe, stop. I've moved them to the cooler. I know you guys love the chipmunk voice, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm just asking him to check other things that may need to go to the cooler, like a whole other carton of eggs, period. So before I, did you get a fork and a rubber spoon, y'all?
Yeah. Somehow they got shoved to the other side of the...
It's okay. Thank you. Before I put my, I'm gonna grate onion and put it in here. But before I do that, I'm going to scramble up my eggs because it's much easier to do it without pieces of onion. I would normally scramble the eggs before I put in the milk so that I can see what I'm doing. So if you've been around a while, you know that I love or prefer to beat my eggs with a fork as opposed to a whisk. I don't know what it is about it. I guess, you know, one of those things. That's the way Dad taught you how to do it. But I like the way that it breaks up the egg yolk better. And the 4 tines really feel like they grab into big chunks of white. The albumin that might be left over. So you see that I'm checking it frequently to make sure that I've gotten all the big chunks out. Like I just mentioned, normally I would put the milk in after I've beaten the eggs to see what I'm doing. But, you know, because I was trying to get the milk back in the cooler as quick as possible, I went ahead and did it first this time. Okay. So normally I would not encourage you to use so much bacon fat. But I greased this pan with bacon fat. This casserole dish. Okay. Now I'm gonna grate onion in here and salt and pepper. So let's grate the onion. Two dozen eggs can take a lot of onion and salt and seasonings. So make sure we do that. This is just a mini, I don't know, it's about 4 by 2 inches sort of box, not a box grater, but the big hole kinds of the box grater. And I just keep it for doing onions, believe it or not. I got it at a kitchen supply store once. This is where we decided to amp it up. Do we want to put garlic in it? Do we want to put garlic powder or jarred garlic? I'm going to choose the jarred garlic from Aldi, but you guys decide, okay? And I've only used 1 teaspoon, which is equivalent of 1 clove. Now, I did want to talk to you about some of the different ways you could make this breakfast quiche your own, breakfast casserole your own. If I put some of the broccoli in it, any of the vegetables would be great in this. If you guys trying to get your kids to eat vegetables, sometimes bacon and eggs is the way to go. Cheese. Normally I do put cheese in my quiche. I use the taco cheese because it's already seasoned. And when I do that, I don't use the onion and garlic and salt. I just let the taco cheese speak for the flavor. But there are different varieties. There's different ways. Like I said, this would be great with spinach as well. Oh, yum, spinach. But any vegetables, different biscuits would be good as well. Old leftover pasta, you know, to make almost like a frittata, but that you bake in the oven. All of those are great different varieties that you can make. Now, as you heard, I had Jim cut up the sausage with a scissor because it's easier for him than to get out the knife and everything. So I'm going to place half of this casserole with sausage. I actually prefer the middle piece that'll have crossover because I do like bacon and sausage together. But Jim prefers sausage and Mom prefers bacon. And instead of cooking down bacon, which is what I normally do for a casserole, I'm going to use these bacon bits up because, again, we're trying to clean out the refrigerator. So if I had tomatoes would be great. I mean, I know I talked about some other vegetable options before, but cheese, bacon, any of that stuff would be really good in here. Crumble sausage, if you had vegan sausage, you can, well, not vegan sausage, yeah, vegetarian sausage you can make, because these are eggs, so vegan egg, you know, you could use vegan eggs, I guess you could do that. Then you'd have to get different biscuits. Oh boy, that's a whole nother chapter, just kidding. So I'm ending up just using the rest of this because there was only just a couple of tablespoons left after I used enough. But like I said before, this side did come out kind of salty because these are actually like more concentrated bacon than just what you would fry up. But it wasn't objectionable to Mom and not to me either, actually. But just be mindful of that if you have restrictions, okay? And now we're going to cut up the biscuits. And, you know, normally I cut up biscuits with the pizza cutter. But since the scissor was already dirty, that's another method. I can show you guys how to do that. These are the flaky layer biscuits. You get 8 in a can from Aldi. This is my last can. We used a can the other day in the chicken and biscuits. If you see that video, is up on my channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut them all in quarters, and then we're going to lay them in basically on top of the casserole.
I was going to say, or get used. So there's salad.
And just like the chicken and biscuits, we're going to do 4 rows of across, and 6 rows down. We're going to get the 24 pieces of biscuit out of this. All right, and I do like to bury it a little bit so that it doesn't get too brown on the top, but if they just sit on top, that's okay too. And one option that I'm not choosing to do today, because again, I'm trying to just use up what I have in the refrigerator, is to dot butter on the top of the biscuits before you put them in the oven. And or you can brush butter on top of the biscuits after they've browned, which is also another delicious alternative. All right, and now we're just going to very carefully we're going to very carefully place the biscuits in, and then we're going to get it ready for the oven. If you were doing cheese, I would do the egg in there, spread the meat, sprinkle the cheese, and then cover it with biscuits. That would be my preference. But you know, when I use the taco cheese, sometimes I mix it right there in the egg. But when you do that, you have to make sure you distribute it throughout the breakfast casserole so that there's not just a big clump of cheese in the middle. All right. Now this casserole, when it was done, if you watch the vlog, you know that there was one part of the right of the middle towards the sausage end that was like a little custardy. But take the temperature of the eggs and make sure that they're at a safe temperature, depending on where you live, because different eggs, pasteurized and otherwise, kind of thing, you know, be mindful that your eggs are cooked enough. But even the custardy sort of egg that was left over was cooked enough, it was heated enough for it to kill the bacteria. It just wasn't firm and set up that one little section, which was weird. I'm not really sure why that happened. Okay? Aren't we clever? Jim's trying to walk backwards. It's too funny. He walked into the cooler. But then you want to place this in the middle of your oven. Have a rack move to the middle of the oven. And we're going to start it off at 375 for 25 minutes. But then we're going to turn it halfway. We're going to turn it 180 degrees after 25 minutes and then bake it for 10 to 15 minutes longer at 350. Okay? So we'll see you when it's done. You can see here that the biscuits in the center are still floating and the egg is quite liquid still. And I highly recommend you don't videotape this with one hand while you try to turn this with one hand. Definitely put two hands on that casserole dish just in case. Like I said, we're just going to turn 180 degrees and put it back in. And now we're going to reduce the temperature because we want the inside to cook and not the outside to brown so much. So we're going to reduce it to 350. And we're going to set it for 10 minutes. We'll check it in 10 minutes and then check, add 5-minute intervals as needed.
How long?
Okay? So this was after the 10 minutes was up and I added 5 more minutes, is when I felt like it was done. It was no longer wiggly jiggly, and when I poked it was firm. There was a little bit of that, what I said was custardy egg around the sausage side of the middle. You can kind of see it because it's shiny egg poking through. But it really is, like I said, as long as it's cooked enough, take its temperature and see how it's doing. Then you want it let it sit for 10 minutes and then get ready to enjoy. And that's it. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I know it came out of a necessity, we'll say, in my house for this thing. So hopefully you enjoyed it. We did, that's for sure. I'm just using the like my Dexter spatula to cut it and serve it with. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Hey, don't feel sorry for us because our refrigerator went. It's life. It happens. We are so blessed in so many ways. We can stand to have a little bit of bumps in the road from time to time. We were just thinking that it was sort of funny, ironic funny that the 3 things that have gone wrong have flooded the kitchen. So, yeah, that's it. And you can see this casserole is nice and high and fluffy and delicious. If you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever we upload a new video. And if you're interested, I'm going to let this cool down. I'm going to cut it into individual serving portions. And once I let it cool down, I'm going to put them in quart-sized freezer bags and freeze them into the big freezer. Because this way I can just pop one into the microwave for breakfast tomorrow, the next day, or for Mom and Jim or whatever. And then we'll have it for indefinitely till we get our refrigerator fixed. Okay? So, like we always say, as always, take care, God bless. We'll see you next time. And don't forget to keep smiling through the bumps in life. That's what makes it enjoyable.